This is a recipe that I sort of manipulated from a variety of sources, one of which was Leah Chase, who is a great chef in the South. She's celebrated, she's sort of like a national treasure. She has a restaurant, a little restaurant in New Orleans called Dookie Chase. And she is turning out the most authentic kinds of Southern cuisine there. And of course, they love sweet potatoes. So she has a sweet potato recipe, and she said, but she was trying to lighten it up a little bit so that it wasn't quite the calorie, knockout that other sweet potato recipes were. My mom used to make it with Caro and marshmallows and brown sugar and in great amounts, and just keep cooking it till they were glazed to within an inch of their lives. This is a little bit simpler. So. The first thing you have to do, and this recipe cannot stress it enough, is that you have to roast your sweet potatoes. And I just want to show you.
Need a little fork?
I need a knife and I just need to cut this open. Okay. You have to roast these. We roast them at about 400 degrees. What does it say, for an hour and a half? Oh, 450? Yeah, 450 for an hour and a half. These get really caramelized, and then when they are, you got to let them cool a little bit. You can't deal with them at 450 degrees. But then you can add this.
Just peeling off the skin.
The skin just peels off, and put those in there.
I'm really excited to make this because this is a recipe that we really only make during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, one wonders why.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like with a lot of these recipes that you have as holiday side dishes, they're family treasures. They're things that everybody praises as like, oh, this is the best thing she makes. But we really save them for these holidays.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have this cookbook to finally collect those, get them out in the open.
But part of all of that is that these traditions for side dishes probably started when the ingredients were more seasonal than they are now. The fact that we have access to all of these things year-round now, well, we have plenty in here. So I'm going to get rid of this. If you get a spatula that we can, oh, you got it right there. All right. So what you want to do first is put your butter in here, so that with the warm potatoes, what it's going to enable you to do is it'll just melt into there. So this is 4 or 5 great big sweet potatoes, and you could just start mixing it in, Joe.
And just about half a stick of butter?
Yeah. My normal recipe is always a stick of butter, but this recipe is only a half a stick of butter. And you just want to put that in. Again, you want to wait until you want to do it while the potatoes are still hot, but we're going to add eggs in there, so you do want this to cool off eventually too. All right, so now you've got that mixed in there. Mm-hmm. Let's put in. There's a can of evaporated milk. So that's it. Let's just, it just couldn't be simpler. Just pour that in there. And that will cool it off enough so that when we put the eggs in, it's not going to curdle the eggs.
Right, so whole can here?
Yeah, put the whole can in.
Great.
And then we have a little bit of brown sugar. Now, I didn't say this was going to be something that's so healthy that you can't stand yourself. But it is, it's healthier than that. And if you have a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar, that's not going to bother anybody. Whoop, got a little hard.
A little stuck.
Just put that in the wet part, and that'll melt down. And some cinnamon. Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's see, what else do we have in there? A little bit of salt. And to my sous chefs, I'm going to need a little bit more brown sugar for the topping. I forgot to separate that out. Okay, so now get that mixed up. In the meantime, I'm going to separate 2 eggs. Okay?
All right. The other reason that I was really excited to do this recipe with you is that obviously we associate this with Thanksgiving, and in the past couple of years I have considered myself sort of a Thanksgiving dinner convert, because I don't know, when you're a little kid, Thanksgiving, you feel sort of uncertain of some of the recipes. You're certain of the turkey and not much else. You don't even know what stuffing is.
Yeah. I'm going to put the egg yolks in with the mixture, and the egg whites are going to keep separate for a while.
Okay. But yes, so you're unsure of a lot of these recipes, and you find out years later that you were missing out really badly.
On some really delicious stuff.
Yep. And this is one of them for me. So.
All right. So we separate the eggs, and while Joe is mixing the egg yolks into the mixture, I'm going to beat the egg whites until they're nice and fluffy. This is a job that you might give to a kid, but it's going to take them about 3 days, I think, to get them as fluffy as you want. By the way, a little kitchen trick: if you have a copper bowl, that will make your egg whites fluff up much quicker.
Is that so?
Well, there's a sort of chemical reaction that goes on. So, okay.
Yeah, that is not an easy job.
This is why we never crossed my mother, because
she could do it.
She would put you on the floor if she had to, with her arms, because there were no stand mixers and all of that. And actually, I have to say, see, now it forms those nice peaks. So that's when I know that it's done. I'm going to put this in here, and just if you want to fold those in, and when I say fold it in, the reason is that now that you've created this nice airy egg white, you don't want to ruin that by beating it too, dramatically. So, all right. So now you're folding, and it actually is. It's a folding motion. You cut through the center of it, then go to the edge and turn it over, and then just turn the bowl a little bit. And if at the end there are still a few little dots of white, it doesn't hurt anybody. It'll all sort of even out as it cooks. And while you're doing that, I'm going to butter a nice big casserole. This is going to grow a little bit in the oven, so you don't want to fill something all the way up.
Right.
Otherwise it'll be going over the top. And the buttering of the casserole is both so it doesn't stick, but it also adds a little bit of flavor. You get that nice buttery flavor at the edges of this. And the edges are always the best part of any casserole.
Wait till we get to the topping. The crispy edges of this really are where a lot of the flavor is.
All right. How's that going?
I think it's well mixed in.
Okay, good. All right, so now if you would put that into here. You got that? All right. And we will start making our topping. But this goes into the oven. Let's see, it goes in at 350 degrees, and that'll cook for about an hour. You'll see that the egg whites and the eggs will cause it to puff up, and as we call it, souffle. Boy, we picked just the right size bowl for that, didn't we? That's amazing. All right,
yeah, just
so
get
get
the
that
last
all
little
in there.
bits.
Now you're not doing any cooking up at school. I know that because you don't have a kitchen.
I know.
Yeah.
Kills me.
All right, we'll even that up, and as I said, put that into a 350-degree oven, and you want to cook that for about 50 minutes to 30 minutes until you'll see that it puffs up. Only thing that has to cook in here are the eggs. So, right. So if you want, you can actually put this in the oven.
Sure.
And I'll get the ingredients up for our topping. It's pretty simple here. We're going to use some, we're going to use some brown sugar and some butter. And I'm going to cut the.
You want me to take it, put it in the oven?
Yeah, sure. Put it in the top, Joe.
Sure.
And just going to break this up, put this in with the brown sugar, and I'm going to put some pecans. Actually, I really like the pecans in the topping. So, if you would
That part of what gives it the crunch.
mix that with a fork to try to, as if you're making pie crust. So you want to break up those butter pieces.
Oop, and I bent the fork.
Well, you could do too much power. You can. It'll all melt, but you want to sort of get it more evenly distributed in smaller pieces into that. And I have some coconut, flaked coconut, or coconut, and that'll help break it up too. So we got this, we got this, we got this. I'm going to put a little cinnamon in there for flavor too. There's cinnamon in the mixture, but I like to have it in the topping as well.
Absolutely.
All right, about a teaspoon.
It's one of those things for me. It's hard to have too much.
All right, I'm going to chop these. All right. Now, how fine do you want to chop these nuts? I like them big because I like big pieces of nuts in my topping. All right, we're going to put that in. Get that whirled.
Doing my best with the butter here, but the fork really is not up to the job.
You could actually melt that butter too if you wanted to, because of the coconut and everything. It'll be crumbly. What you want is a crumbly topping to put on top of the mix. And then when you've cooked it for about 30 minutes, you bring it out, put the topping on, put it back in until those nuts get nice and toasty. And Joe, if you would get the finished version over here,
Absolutely.
It's time to have a taste. And that is hot.
Yes.
Put that right there, because that's a beauty. How about that?
All right.
Now, we like the edge, so that's what we're going
Yep.
for. Now, you'll see, it sort of it
man.
holds together, that butter edge, right? I got to have some, too. Oh, look at that. Oh. Joseph? Oh, you got your... All right, so this is where it's right or wrong here.
Hot.
Right or wrong, I don't know, but hot, we know.
Very, very good.
But very good. It's sweet, but that's a lot of it comes from the sweetness of the sweet potatoes themselves.
Yeah.
The little crunch of the nuts and the coconut.
Yeah, and it's funny, for people who would say, oh, I don't like coconut, it's really not a strong flavor. It's just a little bit of sweetness. It tastes more like cinnamon than anything.
It also makes such a great smell in your house around the holiday. To have this cooking away in the oven. It takes a little prep time. You can cook it up to the point where you put the topping on the day before your holiday, and it saves time once you take your turkey or whatever out of the oven, you can just put this on to brown the topping. So this and over 150 more terrific recipes are part of our brand new cookbook, Holiday Side Dishes. Joe, it's always great to have you back in town and to have you in the kitchen. So here's how you can get your copy.